Hello, good to see you. Pastor Sam with a follow-up reflection to one that I did a few weeks ago, and it's this idea of who are you? Link down below. In that video, I talked about body, soul, and spirit, and this one is more of the digital edition. Who are you in light of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat? Am I that guy over there? Well, that guy looks a little bit like me. And I'll tell you what, that guy looks a whole much more like me. Are you your Facebook account? Are you your Instagram account? And does that diminish this Sam, since that Sam is the one that people tend to look at? Well, it's kind of an interesting question. What we're going to be reflecting on and thinking about is the possibilities and downfalls of that Sam and what that Sam does to this Sam. That's what we're going to be kind of covering today. And I'm going to leave that Sam up probably for most of it, because that Sam is happy. And that kind of leads us into our first point. That Sam is happy. And for the rest of time, that exact Sam is going to have that smile plastered on his stupid face. Right? We tend to portray our successes on Facebook. Now, I'm going to make something of a counterpoint, although it's really kind of the similar point. We portray mostly successes, sometimes failures on, I'll just call Facebook, and I mean the whole gamut of whatever thing you use. Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and TikTok and YouTube and all those things I'm going to lump together under the common name Facebook. Anyway, we tend to post our successes on Facebook. We made pasta that night. I think it was maybe our first time making it. Kathy and I wanted to share that success. Now, we tend to post moments of ourselves in good light. And I've got my, when I'm looking down, I've got my handy dandy card. I also seem to have seasonal allergies, so I'll be clearing my throat maybe a little bit more than normal. We post ourselves as we want to be seen. And I'm not sure that this is ever really consciously decided. Why that picture of me, right? Why that picture of Anna and Paul and me and Kathy and Evie? Why that particular picture? What motivated me? Now, in full transparency, I'll scroll up a bit. Kathy's actually the one who posted that. So, for what it's worth, the last time that I posted on Facebook was actually when that picture was taken, which I think is in 2009 or 2008, somewhere in there. So it's been a little while since I posted, but that's more beside the point. We tend to put ourselves on Facebook as we want to be seen. Now, there's something of a true Sam. This Sam here is the actual Sam. The Sam as he exists in flesh and blood. And this Sam has quite a few failures. To be sure, this Sam has some successes and accomplishments too, but this Sam carries his failures around with him. Now, this Sam also is unaware of some of those failures, and I have blinded myself to them as time has gone on. And that tends to lead me to my point. That Sam is a happy Sam. No matter what happens to me today or tomorrow or into the future, that Sam has a smile plastered on his stupid face until the end of time. Right? That Sam will be permanently happy. And as you scroll through that Sam, you're going to see pictures of him looking like that. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to tend to build an impression of that Sam, of this Sam, off of those pictures and stories and videos or whatever other things happen to be out there. And you're going to come to the not entirely false, but not entirely true conclusion that that Sam is identical to this Sam. And in some ways they are, at one point in time, that was this Sam, right? That's me, right? But that's not me, because I'm me. This is a representation of me in the past. That's not me. This is me. And that's kind of where our our reflection is going. I'm not going to claim that this me is a lie, but I'm the only me that there is. And so we post ourselves as we want others to see us. Now, these aren't exactly outright lies, but we tend to portray our successes, ourselves on that vacation, eating that delicious food, just having a kid, or finding a boyfriend or girlfriend, or whatever, right? The high points of life. Now, we do sometimes post our failures, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but even that leads us to the same point. When I post these things, I want you to form an impression of this Sam off of that Sam. Now, this tends to happen anyway as we interact with other people. Maybe you met someone when they were kind of on an off day, right? They were having a rough day, and so you had a conversation with them or whatever kind of thing, and you were like, man, that person's a jerk. And you're talking with another person about them, and they kind of not counter you, but they bring you back into the middle, right? No, that person's not a jerk. He's actually a really good person. She's actually a really nice individual. I'm sure they were just going through a tough time, and you caught them on a bad moment or by surprise, and they said or did something that was hurtful, right? The impression that you have of another human being is necessarily not representative of the whole of that human being. To wit, how do you address me? Now, depending on who you are as my viewers, and full disclosure, my parents occasionally watch these, they call me by a different name than some of you do. And that really speaks to my point. Who I am is a multifaceted individual. Just let me have this. I'm something of a diamond, that as you turn me and the light reflects in different ways, it's going to give different projections. So if you see me exclusively in these videos, you're going to see a scruffy guy in a t-shirt, recording stuff in his home. If you see me exclusively on Sunday mornings, you're going to call me pastor. If you, like my parents, see me as their son, then you're gonna see me in a different light. But none of those are truly the whole of me. And that Sam over there may be representative of a trajectory of Sam, but that's not Sam. This is Sam. And that kind of leads me to the other thing that we tend to post on these, and that's our failures. Our moments where somebody broke up with us, or we failed to get or to do or to have a certain thing. And what we tend to do, maybe not what we're seeking, maybe we are actually seeking help from another human being, but what tends to happen, and that's kind of where we're going with this, is we either get pity or some kind of arm's length encouragement. You'll do better next time. Or you tried your best, or any of those really trite, ultimately unhelpful, and extremely unsatisfying phrases that we say. And that's because we don't really want to get involved. Instead, we evaluate Sam based upon a thumbs up or thumbs down. What does your gut tell you about that Sam? Is he a endearing individual? Is he somebody whose content you would like to see more of? Then you hit him with the old thumbs up, and the internets bring you more of that. Or maybe Sam has said something or done something or just looks ugly, and you don't want to see any more of him. And you hit him with the old thumbs down. Notice how binary that sort of interaction is, how trivial and how binary that is. All you've got to go on is that picture of Sam. But yet you're going to render a judgment upon me as an individual. Now, I recognize, first of all, that you fully have the power to do this, since this is a YouTube video and you can give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. So some of it is tongue-in-cheek, some of it is very earnest. You have the ability to evaluate me as a human being by clicking a button. That is, imagine if your job did that. Imagine if God did that. If he evaluated you on the basis of your videos. Now that's kind of where we're headed at the end. And thank God he doesn't do that. Thank God that he actually judges us rightly and knows us intimately. Because as we interact with other people upon Facebook and all those other things, we have a gut reaction. Oh, that was a really cool video. Sam, good on you for making pasta. Like. And then I see that and I think, oh, people are interested in making their own pasta. Maybe I'll put out a video. When no one really cares about making pasta, right? I'm not going to put out a video on how to make pasta. But it tends to drive selfish behaviors. And as someone who has less than average regard for their physical appearance, I'm not necessarily motivated in those ways, but I could see how individuals who are concerned with their appearance would begin to evaluate themselves based upon that 1 second, less than 1 second, perception of others. What I mean by that is, consider that little girl up there in the corner. That'd be my daughter, Anna. Now, hopefully she's a little bit too young for this, but as she begins to post pictures of herself and look at pictures of friends and begins to see what people tend to like in their pictures, it's going to drive her to find acceptance by doing certain things. Now, I'm being intentionally vague and allowing you to sort of draw your own conclusions. But notice that this drive-by judgment of another human being is having a profound and deep and long-lasting impact upon, first of all, their own perception of themselves and their behaviors going forward. If you like that picture of that girl who is sitting by that swimming pool, well, that girl might probably take more pictures of herself sitting by that swimming pool. And if you dislike that video, or even if you do nothing, that same girl playing a violin, well, maybe she's going to spend a little bit less time playing the violin because not as many people seem to like that, but they really liked those pictures of her sitting by the swimming pool. So maybe she's going to spend a little bit less time playing the violin and a little bit more time swimming. Now I'm starting to lead you towards the direction that this ultimately heads, which is a dangerous direction. And whether we are aware of it or not, we are encouraging behaviors that are selfish and that I think are destructive. Eventually that girl is going to get old and gross and wrinkly, and nobody's going to care about pictures of her sitting by a swimming pool. And then where is she? Well, standing in the welfare line, I suppose, because she doesn't know how to play the violin anymore. What sort of behaviors are we driving as we interact with that Sam? And I would encourage you to interact with this Sam instead. Now, I brought it up beforehand, and I want to kind of circle back to it. How quickly and how trivially we judge others, but how different God judges us. And when I use the word judge, I don't mean in a final judgment day, heaven or hell sense. Instead, I mean that Jesus knows this Sam. Yes, he was around when that Sam was captured, when that moment of Sam was captured. But Jesus knows this Sam. He knows the weaknesses of this Sam. He knows the successes too, but he knows those things that even I don't know about myself. And, more importantly, Jesus loves this Sam. And Jesus loves you. Yes. Not that you. That you. Jesus loves that you. No matter where you take your pictures, no matter what you think of other people's pictures, no matter what you think of yourself, Jesus knows you better than you could ever know yourself, and he loves you. Thank God that he loves you. He absolutely does. I don't know where we go from here. I have subtly showed you where I think we go from here by clicking the layout of this video. I would encourage you to spend more time getting to know this Sam. A little bit more time getting to know that individual as an individual, one who has both successes and failures. I would certainly encourage you to spend a lot less time getting to know that Sam. That Sam doesn't give two rips how many thumbs you give him. This Sam wants to know you. This Sam wants to love you, not in the same way that Jesus does, but this Sam wants to get past that arm's length relationship and to follow up the normal conversation starter. Hey, how are you? I'm fine. How are you doing? Great. Right? With how many people does that conversation continue? 2? 0? 7? Not very many. Get to know, interact with another human being. And I realize the great irony with which I say this, because you're probably watching this on your phone or computer with Facebook pulled up in another browser. But get off that junk and get to know another human being. God's peace be with you, and I'll see you later.